If Santa fills your stocking with a little extra cash, you might be thinking vacation or jet ski. Vacation, jet ski.
But have you ever considered property? All right, so maybe in the short term, this isn't sounding as fun as a vacation, but in the long term, it could pay off big time. Here with advice on how to dive into the world of investment properties, we welcome back Julie and Daniel with DeRoche Realty Group and Coldwell Banker Burnett. You guys, nice to see you. You're saying, Julie, now is the time, lady.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of traditional buyers kind of take the time off of the market. So if they were going to purchase, holidays coming up and stuff, you're not competing with a lot of buyers. Inventory does go down a little bit, but the amount of buyers out there that investors competing with are a lot less.
So inventory low, competition is low. But you say that a mistake that some potential investors make is when they see the property that they want, they don't act now.
They don't. They analyze it. They want to take days to think it over and look into numbers, where you really, if you see a great property, you should jump on it. You have an inspection period and a due diligence period where you'll be able to look into all that stuff.
Okay.
But you really, that's the biggest mistake I see people make.
Is to get your offer accepted. Okay, but we're talking about types of properties, Daniel. So what do we mean when we're thinking about investment properties? What are we looking at?
All across the board, single family, like just your typical single family home, you can buy it, rent it out to whoever.
Yeah.
Townhome, same type of thing, but you don't have to worry about lawn mowing and stuff like that. Obviously things like duplexes, triplexes, where you get more than one family under one roof.
I just heard too a stat, I saw a headline recently that the rental market in Minneapolis is so tight that it is so hard to find places to rent.
Absolutely, we have tons of clients. I bet you at any given point I have at least 5 people that want to rent and are really struggling finding something. Man. Especially if you have a couple kids or if you have a pet.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's really
tough.
difficult.
Yeah.
What about commercial property?
There's definitely a huge market for that, like strip malls, stuff like that. The only fear with stuff like that is like an exit strategy.
Yeah.
If you have a strip mall and rents are down, it's tough to sell that. Whereas you have a single family property or something like that, it's always easily saleable.
Which one comes with the smallest headache when it comes to managing that investment? Single family home, duplex, or commercial?
Commercial.
Yeah, probably
Really?
commercial.
Yeah.
Longer rents, usually people are renting those for 5-10 years and you don't have to think about it too much.
Okay, you've got to also think about why you're buying and kind of what the end game is here, Julie. So what are some of the benefits of buying a property that then you would use as an investment?
Well, there's 2 ways you can look at it. A lot of people look at it either for cash flow or equity building.
So can we break down what both of those mean? Because they're very different things.
Yes. So cash flow would be your monthly income on it. So say you purchase it and your expenses are $1,000, but you're bringing in rent of $1,500.
There we go,
So you're
$500
making
bucks, we're
$500.
clearing. We like
Yes,
that a lot. Sounds
exactly.
good.
Or if it's a long-term strategy, we have a lot of people that will buy a property when their kids are young. They'll do a 15-year mortgage on it, and by the time their kids are ready to go to college, they can sell that property and pay for their college.
Now, what's the ideal rent strategy? I mean, Daniel, you're talking about places that have, if you have a couple kids and you have a dog, that might mean a higher rent. Is it a better idea to go with a property that you're going to rent for a higher price or a lower price, Julie, in the long run?
It really depends on what you want out of it. If you want to buy something for 5 years maybe and sell it in 5 years, maybe you want more higher rent up front.
Okay.
But if you do want to hold onto something for a long term, you want to make sure it's in an area where the property values are going to appreciate a lot, and maybe you make a lot of money over time just on appreciation. You're making money on cash flow, but you're making a ton of money on appreciation when you go to sell that house.
That college fund idea feels like I'm late to the game on that.
Yeah, you know what doesn't feel good? Paying for college.
That's a big one. We talk to a lot of people about that. Instead of saving a couple $100 a month or whatever it is into a special account for college, you buy a house when your kids are born, or any kind of investment property when your kids are born.
Yeah.
You think about it, 18 years, you do a 15-year mortgage, it's paid for before your kids are even out of high school.
You know what they aren't making any more of, Daniel? Land.
Yeah.
Not making any more of it.
All right, I want to talk to you about break down buying property like this, because it sounds exciting to people, and everybody says, I'd love to have real estate in my portfolio, but how do you actually make that happen? Starting with the down payment, what do you really need to get into the game?
Most lenders are going to need a typical of 20% down.
If it's an investment property.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, if it's just your personal home, there's so many different programs out there, it's unbelievable. But for an investment type property, I think the entry level is definitely 20%.
And that's because they want to make sure that you can financially handle an additional property?
Well, if you were to foreclose, they want you to have some equity in the game, really.
Sure. Okay.
There's a ton of different programs, though. And it depends on how you look at it. Like Julie and I like to put down just a chunk of money and then let the rent pay for itself and have more. Whereas some people want, just have one that they paid for with cash and just collect that money, and then they've got, just residual income. So it depends on what age or when you're getting into the game.
Does this impact your tax situation, Daniel?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so what happens with property taxes?
Well, you have to look at that as part of your outgoing expenses. So
Yep.
when you start talking about the money part, you've got your down payment part. You have to plan for, maintenance of the property, taxes of the property. Are you going to manage it yourself? Are you going to hire somebody to manage it? There's all kinds of things you have to think about.
What would you advise the average person who's trying to get an investment property? Should I have a property management company run this, or can I do it on my own and pocket a few extra $100 a month?
It so depends on that individual, because
Yeah.
you meet people that
Can
you're
you
like,
fix things
yeah.
or can you not?
Well, and can you deal with the stress? Like some people, absolutely, they get that call at 11 o'clock at night that the furnace doesn't work. They're going to lose their mind and be stressed out for a month. Whereas if you have a company managing that for like $100 a month, it's just not worth the stress for some people. We manage our own. Julie deals with it all, so it works out well for me.
You're the property management company.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Look at that, you guys. Well, really fun and really interesting stuff and exciting to think about. But you probably do want to think about having some help through this process.
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
absolutely. It would just be a whole lot. If you're thinking about buying property, how exciting for you, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that you've got a team of advisors behind you to make sure that you do not make a wrong turn.
And the DeRoches would love to be part of that team. So go to TwinCitiesLive.com, click on Fun, and then they'd be happy to talk with you. A big thanks to DeRoche Realty Group with Coldwell Banker Burnett for sponsoring Twin Cities Live. Okay.